This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, other ho there. It's Jeff Cutastrophe. Welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe on this day. And on this day, December 27th, in the year 2017, Manchester City wins their 18th consecutive game in soccer. And you're thinking, well, that's nothing special. Well, considering soccer games in leagues like the Premier League, you can actually tie games and not go to extra time, so shootouts. That could happen. The probability of a tie is as high as the probability of a win, someone winning. So it's the 2017 season. Manchester City were looking to win the Premier League back. And they started off on the right foot. They started off quickly. They beat Brighton 2-0 in Brighton. First game in Brighton as a Premier League team in years. And then they had a 1-1 tie with Everton. Now, Man City was trying their best to do whatever possible and all that. Little did people know that on August 26th, when they beat Bournemouth in Bournemouth 2-1, it would start one of the greatest winning streaks ever. Because as I said, in soccer, the probability of a tie is as big as votes win. September 9th, they hosted Liverpool and crushed Liverpool in fine powder 5-0. They went to Watford the next week and beat Watford 6-0 at Watford. Man City at home hosted Crystal Palace and crushed them 5-0. And then Man City, on a 67th minute goal by Kevin De Bruyne, made it 1-0 at Chelsea. And then after international break, October 14th, 2017, they hosted Stoke City and beat them 7-2, which is amazing. How can you allow scoring more than 3? It's amazing if you score more than 3 goals in a match, but 7? Wow. Just to tell you that the 7 goal scorers, well, Gabriel Jesus scored twice, Raheem Sterling, David Silva, Fernandinho, I think it was Leroy Sané and Bernard Silva scored 7-2. Man City would beat Burnley on home turf 3-0. Then go to West Brom the next week and won 3-2. It was a close one. A very close one. West Brom actually had fought, but Man City was up 3-1 before giving up a late goal, but it didn't matter. The next week, November 5th, they hosted Arsenal and beat them 3-1. After another international break, they went to Leicester to face the 2016 champion Leicester City team and won 2-0. Then they went to Huddersfield and only won 2-1 on them. They actually were down 1-0 at the start of the first half, but goes by Aguero! And Raheem Sterling made it 2-1. Man City then would host Southampton and only win 2-1. Their winning streak was actually on the line because they had 11 straight wins. But Raheem Sterling, late into injury time, scored to make it 2-1. It would have been a tie game. And then they hosted West Ham. And again, they left it late. They were down 1-0. And then, Otamendi tied it. And then David Silva made it 2-1 in the 83rd minute. Then they would face their old rivals, Manchester United or Manchester Red. So it's red versus blue, if you will. And Man City won 2-1. It goes by Silva and Otamendi. 3 days later, strange as it sounded, they had to play another game. 3 days later, they went to Swansea in Wales and beat them 4-0. Then 3 days later, they hosted Tottenham and beat them 4-1. And then they beat Bournemouth 4-0 on home turf before going to Newcastle and beating Newcastle 1-0. And that's the game on December 27th I'm talking about, because that just gave them 18 consecutive wins. 18. 1-8. To win 18 straight in any sport is hard to do. Football is really hard to do. The only team to have won 18 in a row within a season was the 2008 New England Patriots. Well, 2007-08 New England Patriots. And we all know what happened that day. Unfortunately, as a Patriots fan, I know exactly what happened that day. Luck! And then, basketball, yeah, we've seen teams with 20-game winning streaks and all that, like Milwaukee at times. a couple times. Lakers back in the 70s. The Miami Heat in the 2010s. But yeah, that's hard to do. Hockey is hard to do. To win 18 times. Although, it must be said, by winning, you could win games in overtime or a shootout. Not in regulation like soccer. You have to do that. And in baseball, well, we've seen teams win 18 straight in baseball, but it's hard. It's hard to get past 12 straight wins. But anyway, after Man City beat Newcastle, 4 days later on New Year's Eve, they went to Crystal Palace, the team that they crushed 5-0 in September 23rd for their 4th straight win. And somehow, Crystal Palace held them to a 0-0 tie. Didn't work out. However, 2 days later, they played at home to Watford and beat them 3-1. However, the good times didn't roll. So they had won 20 times with 2 ties. So they were 20-0-2. However, they would lose to Liverpool in a classic. 4-3, Liverpool won that game. They actually were up 4-1 at one point before Silva and Gundogan scored for Man City. But Liverpool held on. It's one of the classics. But the funny thing about that game against Liverpool is that was only one of 2 times they would actually lose a game. The other time they lost was to their rivals Man U on home turf. But still, Man City did fantastic. They won. Man City were 32-2-4. So they won 32 times, lost twice, and tied 4 with 100 points and all that. 19 more than second place, which ended up being Man U. The funny thing about the Man City team is that they were good at the Premier League, but they couldn't do the treble. The domestic treble is when you win the cup, win the big cup, in your league cup, your league championship, and in Europe, the Champions League. But in the FA Cup, Man City shockingly lost to Wigan after beating Burnley in Cardiff. In the English League Cup, the second biggest cup competition, they actually won the final. They beat West Brom, Wolves, Leicester, Bristol City, and then Arsenal to claim the trophy. So at least they didn't go away empty-handed. In the Champions League, though, they got taken down by Liverpool, their old rivals, in the quarterfinals. Liverpool, I believe, went on to lose to Real Madrid thanks to Carlos's fumbles. But yeah, the team was good and all that. You had some very good players on that squad. You had Kyle Walker, Vincent Kompany, John Stones, Raheem Sterling, Sergio Aguero, Kevin De Bruyne, Leroy Sané, Bernardo Silva, David Silva, Benjamin Mendy, before he went to jail, Fernandinho, Nicola Otamendi, Ederson the goalie, Gabriel Jesus, Yaya Toure. Yeah. They were a good team. Of course, I hate them because, they're rivals of my Man United. But you know what? Hey, when you win 18 straight games in any sport, that's fantastic. And, you have to win the games. You cannot go to overtime to win the games. So they have a better thing than hockey, and that's saying a lot. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. Adieu.